Welcome to the CU Scoop. I'm your host, Philip Dukes, aka Dukes the Scoop. Check me out on Twitter and Instagram at Dukes the Scoop. And please be sure to hit the like and subscribe button. If you would like to support at a higher level, we have varying levels of support on our membership. All you got to do is hit the description or scroll down to the bottom and become a member. I super appreciate it. I've got my man Jay Smith of Primetime College Football, Locked On Sooners, you name it. Unfair Sports, the man with the plan. Jay, what's going on, big dog?
What's going on, my man? I appreciate you having me on, man. It's been a long time coming. I've been needing to get on your channel for a bit.
No, for sure, man. I super appreciate it. And for anybody, if you're not following him, please go check out Primetime College Football. If you're a fan of the SEC, go check out, and sports as a whole, go check out Unfair Sports and Locked On Sooners. He is the man. All right, so let's get into, but we're here for Primetime College Football.
Let's go. Yeah, let's talk some prime, man. I'm here for that.
So right now, Colorado it's a dead period. Recruiting isn't just bubbling right now, and we know that Colorado usually kind of picks up steam as the season goes on. In your opinion, why does Colorado do better in the fall when it comes to getting recruits than they do in the summer and the spring?
It feels like for the Buffs has always been a situation where they need to prove themselves. I mean, even though you got Deion Sanders, Coach Prime is your head coach, there's so many naysayers out there that's trying to push the narratives of, he ain't really going to be here long. He ain't trying. I was reading an article not too long ago. They were talking about all the negative recruiting that's been going on in the background on Colorado. And it's been mainly folks saying that Prime's not going to be here after his son's gone. He's going to the NFL. He's going to take an NFL job. He's going to go do this. Travis Hunter's in the NFL. He's going to follow, blah, 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 without realizing that Prime has addressed that numerous times. I know he's talked to you about it, and he said it. He's like, he likes coaching the kids. Like, he feels like that's his calling. Now, granted, that calling can always evolve over time, but for them, once the season hits and people are like, oh, wait, he really is like here. He hasn't gone anywhere. That's when you start seeing that the players start to lock in, while at the same time, the philosophy that they have in recruiting seems a lot more intriguing than the rest. You can tell that they're focusing heavily on the transfer portal. He wants dudes that have been in a collegiate program that understands the rigorous grind and the requirements and the sacrifices you have to do to be successful in college. And so, to me, transfers are a little bit easier, especially if you can get some younger ones. Get one like it's been a freshman somewhere at a big program. They're like, yeah, man, I screwed up. I wasn't locked in like it should have been. And they come to Prime to help them get themselves on the right track. And to me, that's what feels like Prime and them is doing, and why they're seeing more success once the fall hits, while at the same time, Prime don't go out and visit people's houses.
Right. And so what do you attribute his ability to be, Coach Prime's ability to recruit successfully year after year without having to do those home visits? Hey, we know it's always been like one of those lightning rods for attention when it comes to recruiting sites and other media outlets that say, oh, well, he needs to do this. But Coach Prime has went on record saying that, hey, people want to come see what we have going on. And then, two, I just can't go in everybody's school the way some coaches can, just being cognizant of who he is to our community and to the culture as a whole. What do you attribute his ability to be successful recruiting without having to do, or let me say this, by doing it his way? How does that make him successful?
And I mean, you said it, you hit the nail on the head right there. Prime mentioned that he can't just walk up into a school and people not know who he is. He's Deion Sanders. We was born and raised on Prime, right? Watching him at Florida State, watching him go to Atlanta and see him the persona of Prime Time that was created is something that's bigger than even him, if you want me to be honest. His persona, of course, precedes him, but it's bigger than him, to where he can't do, like Bill Belichick can go walk into a school and talk to somebody, because even though we know the hoodie, you don't think about the hoodie like that. You'd be like, wait, is that Bill Belichick? But you're not going to do that with Deion Sanders. You're like, hey, man, that's Deion Sanders. Like, right. There's a big difference in that type of, in the gravitas that you get from someone like Deion. So for Prime, he has to be strategic about it. And as you know, as someone that's been in the recruiting space for a while, these coaches sneak into these places and do their visits. Once they get in there, people are like, "Oh, I know this guy. I know Coach. You know, I know Coach Brent Venables. You know, I know Coach Hugh Freeze. I know Coach Kirby Smart." You know them once they come into that spot, but a lot of them can kind of sneak around airports and places, and people don't recognize. Perfect example: I was in the Dallas airport a couple weeks back, connecting to another flight across country. And I'm walking and I look, I'm like, that's Phil Loadholt. That's Coach Loadholt. Why do I know that? I know Oklahoma football. I remember him as a coach at Colorado, and his son plays football in Tulsa, Oklahoma. So that's the only reason why I knew who he was. But no one approached him. No one said nothing to him. Nobody really jumped all over him. I'm just like, yeah, okay. Yeah, that was definitely him. Another example, I was on a flight from Indianapolis. I had to work out there, and I got lucky. It was during the NBA Finals, so I was able to catch, one of the game. What was it? Game 3.
Oh wow!
Got to catch it. So I'm flying back. Sitting next to me, I got an upgrade. I sit next to me, Rick Fox, sitting on my flight, and I'm looking, and I'm like, that's motherfucking Rick Fox, dog. That's Rick Fox for real. But I didn't fanboy on him. I chilled, and then we chopped it up when we were getting off the plane. But as soon as we got off the plane, guess what happened? People were flocking to the dude in Charlotte. They're just flocking to him. It's like, that is this type of stuff that Prime would deal with if he ever were to just go somewhere normal like that. He has to be strategic about that. And again, like you said, people want to see what they're doing in Colorado. You'll see more people feel the need to gravitate to his spot, and they want to, he can do that. Kids want to come to his house. They want to come hear about him. I mean, honestly, his house ain't probably no different than any of these other multimillionaire head coaches. They all got big houses. They all got cool stuff set up. But the thing is Deion Sanders. So for him to continue to be successful with this is that it's really just leaning on not only the fact that he's Deion, but he's also leaning on the fact that he's showing that they can develop some kids to be good.
Speaking of development, what position group are you most excited to see this season from the Colorado Buffaloes?
I'm not gonna lie, man. I want to see that secondary. I think the secondary has seen a lot of ups and downs since Prime has been there. I mean, outside of the fact that Travis Hunter is like a mutant, but you've got a few players on the roster that a lot of people are like, okay, I'm ready to see if they're gonna jump out and actually be something big. Like I'm still sad that Colton Hood bounced out, and totally understand that there were some circumstances with that situation, but I thought that he was going to be that dude that was going to be your new anchor for the secondary now that Travis is gone, because Travis was a mutant. And the fact that Prime was able to get him, he got Cormani McClain for a bit, didn't work out for what other circumstances were, but you're seeing Prime still be able to pull these 5 stars randomly. You're seeing, and especially in the secondary, I'm wanting to see what that's going to look like. Like DJ McKinney, transferring in from Oklahoma State. I'm really curious to see if he takes that next leap to where he becomes one of the more elite corners in the Big 12, and he's one that around the country everybody's talking about potentially being drafted. And then all the components they put around in the secondary with Tawfiq Byard, I think that him at safety is going to be your anchor. Hopefully for the safety, him and Carter, Stoudemire. Yeah. I think between those two, one of them is going to be your major anchor to kind of lead basically your quarterback in the secondary type deal. But I'm really curious to see what DJ looks like, as well as Preston Hodge, and how they actually put things together as leaders and the veteran presence in there. Because Prime's a former corner, even Coach Mathis out there has done a really good job, and Coach Livingston has done a really good job as the DC in improving the way that they run the defense. Now I want to see that. I want to see if that has evolved, because I've even seen Colorado fans say this is the one spot that they're quote unquote concerned with. I'm not concerned. I just want to see what it looks like now.
Speaking of concern, another spot that I've heard that a lot of people are talking about in Buff Nation is the running back room. You see Isaiah Augusta. He goes to South Carolina. A lot of people after he transfers to I guess seemingly Virginia, that doesn't work out. Goes to South Carolina. A lot of people were saying, hey, is there a chance that he comes back, because we feel like the room is light. I felt like you've kind of got a lot in that room and a lot of different flavors. What's your opinion on the running back room, and who do you think emerges as the primary running back?
Be honest, Dukes, on that one, bringing in Marshall Falk feels like you're going to see some big time tweaks in the running back room. Like Isaiah Augusta would have been nice to have come back, but at the same time, the dude goes to Virginia, the ends up at South Carolina. I'm kind of wondering if there's something else going on with him. If there's something else there that to where when you see dudes move around like that, there's usually some sort of a concern if they can't find stable grounding. But that's no shade against him. I'm just curious to what could be the component there. But Dalen Hayden has been the one that I feel like should be the primary back. He should be the one that should step up and be that dude. Him and then young Michael Welch is one that I think he may have the opportunity to really have that breakout season. When he came in as a recruit, I was like, okay, I kind of see the vision here, but I'm ready to see what he turns into. I mean, he's 5'9", 215, so he's a thick kid. You know that he's going to go out there and bust some tail. He had a good solid year getting 4 touchdowns, as a true freshman. I think it's time for him to make that massive leap, but I really think Dallin Hayden is that dude that needs to step up. Now I'm ready to see what Marshall Faulk does, because Coach Faulk, that's the other component with Coach Prime and the way that he's doing stuff. He's bringing a whole bunch of NFL dudes in to coach. Guys with NFL experience either playing. I mean, of course, he's got 3 Hall of Famers. It's 3 Hall of Famers there, but he's got a dude that's played in the NFL, understand what needs to be done to get to the NFL. And now they're putting that together to prove that, hey, this is how we're putting people in the NFL. And so to me, that room is going to be that on the offensive side of the ball. I think that one almost supplants quarterback. We're going to be talking about, of course, who's the replacement for Shedeur Sanders. And that's a good battle between Juju Lewis and Caden Salter of determining who's going to be that dude. Salter having way more experience, but Juju being a very talented kid, and it seems like he's absorbing that info fast. The running back room is now, what is Marshall Faulk and how does he want to produce with these running backs? What is he going to be able to instill in some of these kids to get them going? So I'm intrigued to see where that goes. But I think that Hayden should at some point emerge. I mean, he was good in the Big Ten. He was solid. He was real solid as freshman there. Now I'm ready to see if he's really ready to take the entire load and be the bell cow. That is, to me, between him, Michael Welch are the ones. Even bringing in Taylor as a transfer, I think Hayden should be the dude to be able to walk in there and become the bell cow for the squad.
Yeah, I would agree. I think he's really well rounded. Somebody I always talk about how he played defense. He went both ways in high school, and the way he came up in run support always kind of intrigued me as far as his attitude when he's running the ball. I thought he's a really good pass catcher. When I got out to Colorado in the spring, I saw him. I saw a level of acceleration that I hadn't seen in previous years. Like when he hit that second level, he was really running away from people. And I think I always point towards, if you go to Well Off Media or Reach the People or the pregame network, and there's one practice where you see Hayden take off, and people are literally running over Coach Prime trying to get to him because he literally hit that second gear, and it was I don't know how you spell this, but it was like pew. So seeing Hayden kind of take that next level or take that next step or go to the next level is something I'm excited about for this year. Now, also when you talk about Taylor, aka Trackhawk, coming in, I think he's the wild card. He's the maybe not the draw forward. Maybe he's that they got a new Uno where they got the blank in the middle and you can write whatever you want to write on it. That's him to me. So I think you could put him in a slot if you wanted to. You could run a ton of screens to him. He's the guy that you just want to get in space. But even though he's small, if you go look at his film, he runs tough between the tackles. So I think him having that bounce out ability is something that I don't think anybody else in that room has that type of ability. So when I look at the running back room, I see a little bit of everything. I see a complete room. I see you've got the bruising back, the bowling ball in Michael Welch. You've got the speed guy in Taylor. You've got the all-purpose guy, the guy who can do a little bit of everything well in Hayden. And then you got Charlie, right?
You got Charlie back there.
You got Charlie, who's the
old faithful.
Yep, I'm telling you, man. Like if you need, hey, you know what? It's just like one of those things where you can have a Corvette in the driveway, you can have a big monster truck in the driveway, and then you can have a Mercedes Benz in the driveway. But sometimes you just want to go get that car that's been there that you know is reliable. That ain't saying that the car is not good, but it may not have all of these bells and whistles that the others do. But sometimes, I just need to get from point A to point B. And I
Yep.
feel like Charlie is that guy who can kind of steady the room. It reminds me of when Auburn in 2003 had Cadillac Williams, Ronnie Brown, Brandon Jacobs, and the forgotten member of that running back room was Trey Smith. And Trey Smith was the guy who everybody forgot
That
about with
is
all these huge
true.
names. But Trey Smith was really a guy who could get you, who knew what to do. And I'll leave this point with this. One of my good buddies is the safeties coach for the Minnesota Vikings, Mike Hutchins. And
Yeah.
Hutch told me one time we were talking about a player, and I was like, well, why would this player play over a guy who runs this 4.340? And he says, well, that 4.340 doesn't know what to do and when to do it, and
Yep.
he'll get me fired. But this guy who may run a 4.5, 4.6, who knows where to be, I can count on him, and we want to run stuff. We know he's going to be exactly where he needs to be. That's the guy that I trust him. So I think that's who Charlie is in that locker room, and he's still there for a reason. So I think it's really just in that running back room. So I just
Yeah.
think it's a really eclectic blend of running backs, and I'm excited to see how they perform this year. Now, speaking of
Yeah.
eclectic blends,
Yeah, real quick, before you jump
go ahead.
into that. Yeah, no, I agree. And with Charlie, man, he's like, I mean, of course, these are first world problems, but he's the ride that's always got gas in it when you go run and get some milk, right? You
Mm-hmm.
just jump in that bad boy, grab the keys, boom, you gone, and you good.
Boom.
You're guaranteed that you ain't got to worry about it not having any fuel in it. It's always reliable. You jump in, it's gonna turn on. For us po folk back in the day, we ain't got multiple cars, but you had that one car that it always just worked. Right, you just
Right.
you make sure you had the oil change. You make sure you put some gas in it. Boom, you can hit the roads real quick and make those runs. So yeah, I know, I totally agree. Charlie is that dude, and the fact that he's willing to be that role for this team to
Mm-hmm.
me is a lot bigger than people understand. I think that's a big point on the culture.
Mm-hmm.
That it's hard to get dudes to be able to be willing to just be that reliable guy available when everybody has larger aspirations. Charlie recognizes where he could potentially go. To me, he may end up in the coaching right from this, unless he be able to make a roster in the NFL, potentially undrafted. But he knows where his role is, and he's willing to take advantage of it. And that's, to me, a huge part. But let me go ahead and let you continue on that.
No, for sure. And I think where I was going was I was talking about eclectic, and
Mixes,
somebody
yeah.
who kind of reminds me of being who I could use that word to describe about their skill set would be Draylon Miller. You can put him
Yeah.
anywhere. We heard Coach Prime kind of compare him to Debo Samuel. Uh, you've seen him get the jet sweep. You've seen him tunnel screen. You've seen him run routes.
Yeah.
How important is Draylon Miller to this year's team with his versatility, in your opinion?
To me, so Amarion's coming off the injury, right? So you got one guy that's been on the roster, and he's coming back from a pretty bad injury that usually can take time to recover. And I always thought that Amarion was the next dude in line from whenever you lose Wester and that entire Jimmy Horn, Travis. And when you start losing out on your big guy Shepard, I figured that Marion was going to be the guy because Draylon was only a true freshman. I didn't expect to see a lot of rotation with him, but you had a feeling he was going to play some. But then when Marion goes down and you start to see more Draylon, you're like, oh wait, like you said, like okay, so you're a versatile guy. Like we can put you in the backfield and you can come out like a running back. You got the size for it. You're 6'2" at least. You can do that. So okay, let's see what else we can do with you. And then you start to see Colorado throw him into some, like I said, some mixtures of stuff. And now you realize he's probably that dude that's going to step up and potentially be your top guy, even as a slot dude. A lot of people don't understand is that you can have your number one in the slot. A slot's not relegated to a dude that is just fast and he's there because he can't handle the muscle you need to be on the outside. Nah, sometimes dudes are just that versatile that you're like, now let me move you around the field because now defenses have to think harder. If there's one thing you can do is put a defense in a crunch where they got to figure out, all right, where the hell is this dude lining up at? It makes me think about, I think the best example of this to me was when Brent Venables was over at Clemson, they had Isaiah Simmons in the back,
Mm-hmm.
right? Isaiah was a dude. He played edge, he played linebacker, he played safety, and all you knew is that teams would immediately stop and be like, all right, where is he at on the field this time? And now we're gonna run the play the opposite direction. Ain't nobody trying to see that dude, but he was that versatile. You want versatile guys like that at wide receiver. For example, if anything, Draylon kind of makes me think about Percy Harvin too. When he was at Florida, Percy was another dude. He was one guy that you would just put him in random spots, and the defense would be like, all right, where's he at? All right, Percy's over there. There's a good chance they're either going to sweep him this way, they're going to throw it to him there, or they're going to run it. So literally everything's possible now. So we probably need to prepare ourselves to keep an eye on him. That's what Draylon, I think, can be for Colorado this season, is a guy that when they put him in certain spots, defenses have to shift, and that can open it up for everybody else. Because I'm still very high on this Sincere Brown kid. I get that he's coming from a small school and people aren't really big. Look, if there's one position that I feel like can walk in and take over regardless of the level that they came from, if they showed you stats at the bottom, they could probably do it up top, wide receiver. Because it's really height, speed, route running. If you're a tight route runner, I don't care what level you're at. I could probably move you up to a higher level and you're going to find a way to get open because you can run routes well. You have the footwork for it. That's usually the hardest part for wide receivers to get down. Some are just naturally gifted and they can be, monsters like a Jeremiah Smith or a Ryan Williams. But that's the one thing I think is underappreciated about both. Their route running is ridiculous. It's hard to keep up with them because they're that good at routes. I think Sincere Brown can also be that. But I think Draylon is going to be your X factor because he's the dude that's going to be moving around the most.
Man, I think versatility is something that really just it opens teams up, like you said. Like you're able to do more. It gives the offensive coordinator or the defensive coordinator, depending on where you have that versatile player, it just gives them that. It's almost like having a queen on the chessboard. You can do so much, and you have to find out where the queen is because you know what everybody else can do. But having that versatile piece, that can do a little bit of everything, that jack of all trades, is so important. Speaking of duality and being able to do multiple things, that's kind of been the crux of the quarterback battle. Caden Salter comes in with more a traditional, in the sense of more of a traditional dual threat guy who we've seen run for 3,000. Pass for 3,000 and rush for 1,000 yards in a season. And then you have the immense talent and potential and throwing ability of Julian Lewis. How do you see this quarterback battle playing out in fall camp?
Man, this has probably been the biggest struggle for me in looking through this. And I've told a few people, I even said it over on the Primetime channel when I talk about it. I like Caden because of the experience, played at Tennessee, transferred to Liberty, and you saw his highs, especially when he had solid pieces around him. You start to see that he has the ability. But at the same time, Juju's walking in with a talent that you can't overlook. I don't like playing true freshmen to start the season, and I have always been, it is never anything against the true freshman nature itself. It's more of all true freshmen have to still adjust to what the game looks like at the next level, regardless. And that's mainly when you start to recognize that reading the defenses, seeing those changes, you're going against dudes that are quote unquote borderline NFL caliber coordinators on the defensive side. A lot of these coaches at the P4 level end up in the NFL in a lot of situations. They can be pulled in. You've got to be prepared to be able to handle all the changes. And freshmen are going to make freshman mistakes. They're going to overextend themselves and think that, okay, I can do this, when it's like, nah, you probably shouldn't have pushed that one. They're going to push a lot more buttons, which in some cases can be good. But it's an experience thing. You're a lot better bike rider after your third time riding the bike than you are the first time you're up there wobbling and pops or moms is holding the bike for you. You're so much more. Then at some point you're riding with no hands. You standing on the wheel and doing this and shit. You can do all that stuff whenever you've rolled the bike for a while. But that first time is still gonna be wobbly. I feel like that. I'm not saying that Juju will be like that, but I'm saying that go look at Lenore Sellers last year. I thought that he was solid for South Carolina. I thought I was like, okay, this is going to be fun and interesting. Then at the same time, you start to see some freshman mistakes. Like, oh, you shouldn't have done that. Ooh, you forced that one. Ooh, why'd you go there? Ooh. It's no different than me and you. We talked about like Auburn with Deuce Knight. You don't want a freshman on the road against a defense that's bringing back 9 starters. That they're ready for you. They're prepared. Now, granted, they don't have that much film on you, but they know how to mask a defense to make you sometimes screw up. Colorado's got Georgia Tech first game at the crib, but it's first game of the season. Tech head coach, he's been looking good at forcing quarterbacks to do things they don't want to do. Just watch the Florida State game. Granted, a lot of people have been out on DJU even before that, but go look at the Florida State game. He forced a lot of stuff that you're like, oh, that was a dumb choice. Why? Oh, he saw something else. I don't want that for Juju, but at the same time, like you said, Caden is more of a true dual threat. So he's already done this. Give me that day one. Let me see if he can carry the weight of Colorado. He should be able to. He did it at Liberty. He should be able to carry the weight at Colorado because he's got, to me, better weapons around him. And then as Juju matures throughout the year, you may see him supplant him. But I would go with, to me, personally, I would prefer Salters because of the immediate dual threat capabilities. Everybody has film on him doing both. So now they're like, okay, we got to watch out for both. They don't know if Juju's going to do both. Give me Salters. Let's see if he can go ahead and handle it, and then prepare to have Juju play for like 2 more years after that. Let him redshirt. Prepare to play him for the next couple of years, and then let that dude get drafted in the first round.
Juju in the first round.
Hey, it's always a possibility, man. You never know, but hey, it can happen.
In your opinion, because I got my own opinion, but what makes him a first round quarterback in your opinion?
I think his presence is, to me, what helps him. He's slight for the most part, 6'1", 190 ish, so he's a smaller dude, but he's still a true freshman, so I'm not too concerned about that part. But watching him in high school, he has a presence to him that makes me feel like he can put himself in a spot where if he processes the games at the right speed, he's gonna have a chance to put himself on a higher level than most. Especially the ability to improvise. That's going to be key. He can give you some. He has a strong enough arm. I like his arm strength. I think his accuracy is there, and it's something that everybody's going to improve as they get better. And having Pat Shurmur there, he's going to really teach him in the Shedeur way of being accurate, making the smart choice, and hit the open man, and even be able to buy time because he can move. But his presence, to me, in the pocket, he doesn't look like he's rattled. He looks like he's ready. He's reading the field. He's always keeping his eyes downfield and ready to get rid of the ball. I think that's going to be something that's a trait that can help him push himself into a first round potential. I'm not saying he's going to be drafted number 1 overall or anything like that, but what I'm saying is that if he continues to develop on that, he does have a chance for it, because there's a reason why he was listed as a 5-star on so many sites.
Yeah, I agree. And I think what makes Juju special is his one, like you said, his presence, but even like his pocket presence in particular, like specifically, the way he moves around the pocket and climbs the pocket, I think it really makes him special. Another thing that I really like is his ability to layer passes over the middle. I think when you see so many trap coverages and you see so much window, I guess let me take that back. How much window dressing they do, or so how much eye candy defenses give you. We always talk about eye candy and as far as motion on offense, but defenses do that as well. So for him to be able to kind of spot what's real and what's not, then be able to say, you know what, I know that this safety is playing towards the hash, but I still want to get in between the linebacker and him on this seam. Yep. Can I get this ball over the linebacker and in front of the safety at an angle? I haven't seen anybody who really at his level, at his age, especially his age group, be able to throw that pass the way he does. And so I think you have to consider that. And I want to say this too. We always consider our arm talent as being just, he's got a cannon. But I also think ball placement, not just where is he putting it on your shoulder, is he putting it in the place that only the receiver can get it, but placing the ball in traffic is somewhere that I think Juju excels. So I think he's a really special talent. I got no doubt in my mind that he'll be a first round pick for sure. Man, we're at the 30-minute mark. Shoot, I can't believe it, man. So,
hey, man, I figured we get there quick. I gotta talk some ball, man. It happens.
Yeah, for sure, man. So I've told everybody where they can find you, but tell them what they'll find when they do find you.
Yeah, man, just search for your boy on YouTube. Primetime college football. We're talking all things Colorado, Coach Prime, talking Shadur, Travis Hunter, all of them. And, we try to get into the weeds of the ball game too, man. We'll talk about the news and stories and stuff that people are saying. The haters always got things to say. But we like to also dive into the nuances of what's going to happen. Like, I'm about to drop a video this week. We're going to look at the returning production, and we're going to talk about the comparisons of them with the competition they got to go against. That BYU situation is wild, bruh. And that's going to make it a very interesting Big 12 this year. So check it out. Primetime College Football here on YouTube. And you can also find me on X at Unfair Sports and at Primetime CFB.
Oh man, I appreciate it. And so
Thanks for having me.
we're gonna try to get on the schedule here. So I'll be seeing you guys again. So this should be dropping Monday, 5 o'clock Mountain, 6 o'clock Central, 7 o'clock Eastern. And we're gonna try to go Monday, Wednesday, and Friday on that schedule with the CU Scoop. You'll see more content or news breaking content, but I think that we're gonna start this as a more traditional podcast and drop this Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. So hey, sign up, make sure you subscribe, make sure you turn on the notification bell, and it's gonna be a fun ride this year, man. Jay, as always, I appreciate it, and everybody be safe and make it home. All right.